105.5 WDHA here on the Jersey Magazine. I'm Jim Monahan as we celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the vital role that women have played in American history. And my guest is Lillian Martineau. Lillian is a high school sophomore who plays baseball. And Lillian, good morning and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Tell us about your baseball journey. Most girls your age are playing softball. How did the baseball thing happen with you?
So I've just really played it all my life. It started out, just playing little league. In my town, there wasn't softball, so I just played baseball. And a couple of my friends who were girls played too. And then by the time I was middle school, they decided to switch to softball. But I really just wanted to keep playing baseball. I'm not quite sure why. It's just since I've always done it, I thought that I might as well keep going. And I just haven't stopped, playing baseball since then.
You had a little bit of a roadblock come up when you were in middle school. Tell our listeners about that.
So it was just people weren't sure that I should be playing baseball since there was a softball team available to me, and that, it was strange because, the girls have always played softball, in my town at least, and then the boys play baseball. And so they thought that since there was a girls softball that I didn't have to play baseball. But, as similar as they are, they're really two, they have different rules. They're played a little bit differently. And, so they're kind of different sports. And so that's why, they were like, okay, like the school was like, she's just going to play baseball, and it was mainly the parents that were like confused and concerned about it. My teammates during the season were fine with it. They get used to it.
One of the things I've noticed, you mentioned your teammates. Lillian is very, very active on social media. She posts a lot of video clips from her games on Twitter and Instagram. And one of the things I've noticed is when you get a base hit or you do something on the mound, you can hear the cheers coming from the dugout, and they are 100% behind you. I love listening to your teammates. I'm as into the teammates as I am anything else, Lillian.
It's really funny because going back listening to the video, in game, sometimes you zone out. And so it's hard to, like, sometimes I don't hear everything going on in the dugout, and then I rewatch the video. I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so like yelling. It's really funny.
We had a girl in our town here in New Jersey who some years ago, she played baseball, even though softball was offered. She chose to play baseball. And at 9, 10, and 11, she dominated and was one of, if not the best player. She was right up there. And she got to 12, and boys started to catch up with her a little bit. She was still very, very good, still one of the best players in town. But you could just see it start to level off. And she never made the move to softball. She loved baseball, decided that for whatever reason that this would be it. And I think she either went to lacrosse or field hockey. But as I've watched your videos, I think back, because I had worked with her on some pitching some years ago. And as I watch your videos, you remind me so much of her in her style, in the way she carries herself. You have a mound presence with you, and a presence in the batter's box as well, which I think is really, really important. Where did that come from?
Gosh, honestly, I would just say, mental work. I think, like, for me personally, it doesn't necessarily come naturally, like just standing up there and, having that persona, I think that you were kind of mentioning. But here in my family, like, we take having a good mental, like, confident mindset on the field seriously. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I have a lot of mental cues that I say to myself. That way I can, calm myself down and just get in a good mindset, I think. And I think that's what kind of gives, like, the appearance of, like, a relaxed, confident player.
You're not the first girl to play baseball, but you're certainly one of the more prominent ones. And we were talking about this before we came on the air. I think it was last summer, I was watching the MLB Network, and they do this wonderful segment, Sandlot to the Show, where people send in videos, and it's usually parents sending in videos of their kids. But I'm watching one night, and Sean Casey, the former major leaguer, is breaking down his swing, and I look and I go, I know who that is. And it was you. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, that was a really great experience, honestly, because they get lots and lots, of submissions. People want their swing to be on the MLB Network. I mean, like who who wouldn't want that? And so I took the video. I knew of Sandlot to the Show because of Twitter. And so I submitted it and I was like, oh, like, it might get on, it might not. They have a lot of kids. And then I was like, oh, it's on TV. And then it's funny because people that don't even follow my baseball social media, like my friends at school were like, my parents saw you on TV. I guess so.
Lillian Martineau is my guest this morning here on the Jersey Magazine at 105.5 WDHA. We're celebrating Women's History Month, and Lillian is a sophomore in Connecticut in high school and is trying out for her baseball team. Again, you made the JV team as a freshman last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, correct.
So we're looking for varsity this year. And again, you're not the first girl to be involved in baseball, but there's, I think you're part of a new wave of girls coming through the sport. And one thing I've noticed is how many girls younger than you are tweeting to you, and you've become kind of a role model to them. What's that like?
It's great. You don't really think that someone could look up to you the way that you look up to other people. And so seeing that, other girls and, younger kids appreciate my videos and it means something to them, it feels really great, honestly, knowing that they're watching me play and want to play like that.
DHA listeners who know me, who've been listening to me for any amount of time, know that I'm a Red Sox fan. In fact, I'm wearing a Red Sox sweatshirt right now, as a matter of fact. You're around that dividing line of Yankee and Red Sox fans in Connecticut. You ended up a Mets fan. How did that happen?
Just my dad. He was a Mets fan, and so I grew up watching the Mets, and that's just he was the baseball person. So my family's just Mets fans. Not many Mets fans around me. It's like you said, it's Yankees or Red Sox for the most part, but it's just because I grew up watching them, I think.
And of course, we got the news that the lockout ended. They've got the new collective bargaining agreement. Yeah. How psyched are you for the Mets this year? Scherzer, obviously, he and DeGrom have that's as good a 1-2 punch in the beginning of a rotation as anybody, Lillian.
Exactly. Our pitching this year, I'm just excited to watch them. We have a fun group of starters that are gonna be on the field to watch. Again, from an offensive and defensive perspective, I think it's gonna be fun to watch them this year. So fingers crossed.
We mentioned having some younger girls looking up to you. Who were some of the women that you looked up to or look up to in terms of baseball these days, Lillian?
Definitely Missy Coons. She reposts all my tweets. She gives me comments and feedback. When I went down in Texas for the MLB Breakthrough Series for girls baseball, she came to watch. And it's great. She's a really great supporter. I talk about her all the time. We talk frequently about the baseball season. She's a great mentor to have, honestly. She was really, really successful in her baseball career. And so she's a really, really great person to look up to, not just from pitching, but just, overall, having success in the game.
And while DHA listeners may not know Missy's name, I'm sure they remember the Coors Silver Bullets, which was an all-women's baseball team. And I had reached out to her through social media, through Twitter, and I said, by any chance, were you on the team? And I gave the date, around the date and the time in Central Park in New York. And it turns out that I had faced her in a charity game.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I got the ball out of the infield, Lillian.
Wow. Well,
it was very good. And the novelty of facing a woman throwing a baseball wore off pretty quick. Like after the first pitch came in, I went, whoa, this is pretty serious.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And she was very good. You're again, baseball and women, they have been around for a long time. We could go back to Rachel Robinson, who, we talk about Jackie Robinson, and we're coming up on the anniversary of Jackie making his major league debut. And as strong as Jackie was, I don't know if he would have succeeded to the same level if he didn't have a woman behind him as strong as Rachel Robinson. And I worked for the Newark Bears for a couple of years, a
Yeah.
minor league independent team here in New Jersey. And there was a tie between the Newark Bears and the Newark Eagles, which had a woman as an owner. And so, and you go back and I made a list, and I know this is not comprehensive, but the Twins, the Cubs, the Yankees, Orioles, Giants, Red Sox, Brewers, A's, and Rockies, I think all currently have at least one woman, not just in the front office, they're in the coaching lines.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
part of the coaching staff. And of course, the Mariners with Kim Eng, who is, the general manager, who's probably overqualified for that position. When you think about it, it was one of those, well, what took so long?
Yeah,
type of thing.
exactly.
But and I know you're very early in your baseball career, where do you see yourself going in baseball as you grow up?
So for college, I definitely want to take communications classes, maybe media, journalism, to be on a talk show like Quick Pitch, or any show that's like on ESPN or MLB Network. I think is where I see myself. I couldn't see myself coaching. I'm not sure. It's just I don't think it'd be the path for me. But I could definitely see myself having a path in baseball after playing.
I think one of the people that you mentioned, the MLB Network, I'm a huge fan of Lauren Shahadi's work. I think she is incredible. Her interviews are top notch. She, like yourself, she played softball. I don't know if she played in college or not. I know that she played in high school, and she may have played a year in college, but it's obvious that she knows the game. And watching her, I can't tell you how much I learned from her in terms of interview style.
Yeah.
Because she's such a good interviewer.
Yeah, it's great watching them, like Kelly Nash and Heidi Watney on Quick Pitch. It's just great. It's great watching them and thinking, again, to the role model thing, like I could be doing that one day. And
Justine Siegel, I know you know that name. She is part of an organization called Baseball for All, which is a wonderful organization. Lillian, I can't thank you enough for your time this morning here as we commemorate Women's History Month, and best of luck coming this season with your high school baseball team. I want to see you on varsity.
Thank you very much.